Hello fellow Unreal Engine games developers. Today in our continuing desert driving game series, I'm going to show you how to restart the game in a cleaner fashion. And as a bonus, I'll show you how to create this animated countdown effect. Let's get to it. Welcome back to this desert driving game series. If this is the first video of mine you've come across, you'll see a playlist in the description below that shows you how to create this game from scratch to building and packaging the final game. And in this video and others, I'm just going to do some additional refinements and add-ons to that game. Today, I'm going to look at restarting the game cleanly. In the original game, we did a quick fix or quick hack by effectively just reopening the level to start the game, and it's a bit janky. We can do a much cleaner restart of the game. And the other thing as well is that the way it worked before is the first person who went to the game could actually start driving around and going through the gates before the other people joined. So it wasn't particularly fair. Now the way I'm going to approach this is I'm going to let the game host decide when to start the game. So they could still start the game early if they wanted, but they'll probably be fair and wait for everybody to join and then start the game. And then when the game finishes, people can drive around until the host starts the game again, and then everybody starts on a rolling start. So it'll look better and feel better to play the game. So the first thing I'm going to do, let's go to the game mode. So go into your world settings and the BP pickup game mode and open that up. So at the moment we have, let's just comment this here. So first thing is we got the gate spawner. So let's just say get gate spawner reference at the start of the game. And then this section here, checked for a winner. And then if somebody had won the game, after a 4-second delay, it restarted the game. And this restart game function effectively just reloads the level. So let's get rid of these two. We're going to replace this with a better way of starting the game. And let's just put a comment around here and determine winner. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I don't want to spawn the gate when you go into the level, and I think we did that in the gate spawner. So if I go to the main level and edit our gate spawner, you can see here that on the begin play event it spawns a gate. So as soon as we load the level it spawns the gate. So I want to get rid of that. Okay, so now there will be no gate spawned when we start the game. We'll have to, well, the host will say I want to start the game, and then it'll start a start game routine which will spawn the gate once everybody is ready to go. So let's go back to the game mode. We've got a reference to the gate spawner. Let's create a server event to start the game for everybody. So let's do custom event. And we'll call this server start game. And effectively what we want to do is you want to tell all of the connected players that they can start the game. And then once we've told everybody they can start the game, final thing we'll do is spawn a gate so that they can start to drive towards it. So if you remember from previous episodes, if we get the game state, this has a list of the player states, the connected players. So we do player array. It's an array of player states. And we'll loop through those connected players. For each loop, and so currently this is a player state that we're going through. We actually want a player controller that we can call the start game event on. So let's take this array element and And again, from previous tutorials, you'll remember you have to get the owner, and then from the owner, which is a player controller, we can cast it to the BP My Player controller, which is the custom player controller we've got. Okay, and then from this we want to call a start game event, which we haven't created yet. So let's go over to My Player controller. Let's leave that for a second and close down the gate spawner. Let's go to the BP My Player controller and open that up. And so we probably need to just clean this up. Yeah, move this comment around here. And we're going to create a new event to start the game. So we'll create here a custom event, which we'll call client start game. And so to start the game, we want to initialize the score. So we've got a server initialize score. And that is probably all we need to do there at the moment. So just recapping here, when we begin play here, it will create all of the widgets for the score, and it will initialize the score and spawn the vehicle. But because there's no gate to go through, you'll be able to drive around, but you won't actually be able to do anything or score anything. So effectively here we're just initializing the score, not for the first time we play, but when we play the second time, we want to initialize the score for each player so that everybody starts from 0. So that's fine for this. Let's comment this, call it start/restart game. And this is what we want to call from our game mode function we've just been creating. So compile, save that, go back to the game mode, and now as we're going through when we're restarting the game, as we're going through each player, we can drag off here, client, start game. And there's one very important thing that I've forgotten. So go back to the player controller and make sure the client start game starts on the owning client. And we want to remember to do this, make sure it's the local player controller. Let's run this. So highlight these from the event above, duplicate them, and then drag this in here. So doing the start game on the local player controller and initializing the score. So these are common things that you forget to do. Try and kind of get in the habit of remembering where is the event being executed, and also who is it who's executing the event. Okay, so now we have the server start game. We've gone through each player and started the game. Now they've been told to start the game, we can spawn the gate. So in the completed section, let's get the reference. If you remember in the begin play, we got a reference to the gate spawner. So we can drag in our gate spawner reference with control, drag out here and do server spawn gate function and attach that to the loop completed. So it'll spawn the gate once all of the clients have started the game, which if you remember just reset the score. Okay, that seems to be sufficient for this. So let's comment around that and say server start/restart game for all players. And now we need to call this, or have a function to call this start game. And as I said, I'm going to allow the host player to press a button to start the game. So let's just set up an input button for starting the game. Go back to our project settings, and if you go to input, we can add in a new action mapping here. Let's call it start game. You can bind it to what you want. So I'm going to bind it to the B key for begin game. You could bind it to gamepad controls as well. So now we have an input action we can use to call the game. Come out of here, go back to our player controller. And now what we want to do is check for that input action. So let's do input, start game. So there's the action event I just set up. Now the key thing is here, I don't want anybody to be able to press that start game button. I only want the host. And because we've set this up as a listen server, we have one of the players who hosts the game as the listen server, and we can do an is server check. So make sure you're doing is server. Come out of here, branch, just do B and click. So if we press the start game key, the B key in this example, we check if we're the server, and if we are the server, we want to call that a game mode function. So get game mode. Cast to the BP pickup game mode, which is the one we're using, and call the server start game function. So we'll say comment allow host to restart game. Okay, let's compile and save, and let's have a go playing this. Let's do it with 2 players, see what happens. So I'll go into play mode. Okay. And it's so I'm in the client at the moment, moving around. There's no gates around anywhere because we haven't spawned a gate. If I hit B on the client, no change because I'm not the server. I can't start the game. Right, let's switch over to server window. So have a look around. No gates. Press B key, and there is a gate spawned. Hopefully it's been spawned for everybody. So I'll go back to the client, and yeah, I can see the gate spawned there as well. So now if I play the game, so I set the winning score to 3, so let me just go through 3 times. And one more time to win the game. Skid too much. Right, and I'm the winner and the server is the loser. Now if I stay on the client and I press the B key rather to restart the game, nothing happens. But hopefully if I switch to the server and I press the B key, it's spawned a gate. Now there's a couple of things it hasn't done. We've reset the score, well, that's good, so it's 0-0, but we didn't remove the winning game result. And in fact we probably also want to put a UI up to say that the game is started. What would be really good as well is to have a countdown, like a 3, 2, 1 go, so people have a little bit of warning before the game starts. So let's fix the let's first of all fix just getting rid of the winning result, because that's a quick thing to do. So in our player controller, you'll remember when we won or lost the game, we called this show game result, which created the you win, you lose widget and add it to the viewport. All we need to do is just create a reference to this so we can remove it when we start the game. So just go to the return value, promote to a variable, and just connect that. and we'll call that variable W game result. Now in our start restart game, we can get that game result. So drag it in with control. Now the first time we call this, we won't have a game result window. So we only need to delete it if it exists. So convert that to a validated get and connect that. So if we don't have a game result, i.e. the first time we play the game, we don't need to do anything. But if we do have a game result, then we want to remove from parent. And that should get rid of it. So let's quickly test this. Go into play mode. Go to the server. Pressed B to start the game and the gate got spawned. Go through gates. Go through the second gate and then third gate to win the game. Crash. And I win. And if I press the B key now, it removes that game result. It also removed the you lose game result on the client as well, so it worked for all connected clients. Okay, so let's now create a starting widget that says 3, 2, 1 and counts down. So go to your Explorer, go to your UI, and we'll create a new user interface widget blueprint. Call it W countdown. Open it up and drag a text field into the canvas panel. Select it, and in the anchors, hit Control Shift Center, and that'll position it in the center and align it in the center as well. And in the size, multiply it by 10, so 240. We'll make it a nice, big, bold text block there. And go back to your anchors and do that Control Shift again. And do size to content as well. Sorry, that's the thing I forgot, in order to get it centered and sized. So now we'll just create 3, 2, 1, go. So we'll create 3 first of all, and then choose whatever color you want. I've chosen a sort of a bluey color for this that contrasts the desert. And then just do Control W 3 times. So you've got 4 text blocks. Make the second one number 2, make the third one number 1, and make the last one go in capital letters. And we'll make actually the go green rather than blue. Okay, and now what I want to do is I want to animate these so that the 3 happens first, then a 2 after a second, 1 after another second, and go another second. So we haven't done this before, but the reason why this section of Unreal Engine is called UI UMG, the UMG stands for Unreal Motion Graphics, and the motion graphics is supplied by this animation section. So we can do animation similar to what you can do in After Effects. So let's create a new animation, and we'll call it 3, 2, 1, go. Then make sure you select it, and now this timeline lights up so we can start adding keyframes. So let's go to, make sure you've got the 3 selected first of all. Make sure that you're positioned 0, so right at the start. And go to, what we're going to do is we're going to animate the scale and the opacity of each number. So let's go first of all to the alpha in color and opacity. and we'll put a keyframe here at 0. And you'll see it appeared there. Then scroll down until you find render transform and open up transform and scale. And what we want to do is leave it as 1 and 1 scale and press to add another keyframe. So effectively that is going to start at the fully opaque and the original scale value. And now what I want to do is, although the 2 is going to start at 1 second, I want to overshoot slightly with the 3. So select the 1.5 second point, go back to your scale, and let's make it twice as big, 2 and 2, and click on the add a keyframe. Then scroll up to the color and opacity alpha value, make this 0, and add a keyframe. So now if we go back to the start of this and play, you'll see that the 3 grows and disappears. So now we want to do that again for the 2, the 1 and the go. So let's go to the 1 second point. Make sure you've got your number 2 selected and keyframe the alpha. Go down to the scale, keyframe that. And now select the 2.5 second point. Change the scale to 2 and 2, keyframe it. Go up to the alpha, make the alpha 0 and keyframe it. Okay, and they'll do the next one as well. So go to the 2 second point. So this is where we want the 1 to come in. We've done 3, 2, 2 second point. Select the 1, keyframe the alpha. Go down to the scale, keyframe it. Then select the 3.5 second point. It's a bit monotonous, but it doesn't take too long really to do this. And now we'll make the scale 2 and 2, add a keyframe and go up to the opacity for the alpha, make it 0, keyframe it. So just to show you where we've got to, if I go back to the front, the animation and press play, 3, 2, 1. Press space bar if you want to redo it. 3, 2, 1. So we just haven't done the go yet. So last thing to do is select the 3 second point in the timeline, select go in the text, keyframe the alpha, go down to the scale, keyframe, and finally we'll make this last 2 seconds instead of 1.5, go to the 5 second point, make the scale 2 and 2, keyframe it, and go to the alpha, back up to the alpha, make the alpha 0, keyframe it. Okay, and now let's just test this out. Go back to the start, press play, 3, 2, 1, go. And see, by the time it gets to the end of the timeline, everything is transparent. So again, press space, 3, 2, 1, go. We've got everything we want. Just make sure you leave it with the timeline at the end so everything's transparent. Otherwise you might have to put some keyframes at the start to make it transparent first of all. Okay, so that's our countdown. Let's compile and save that. Let's go to the player controller now and let's add this in our start game. So I'm just going to make a bit of extra space after getting here. What we'll do is we'll do a sequence. So drag off here and do sequence like that. The reason I'm doing that is because if this is invalid, this game result, we still want to create the 3, 2, 1 go. So effectively we want to do this even if the check fails. So let's drag a bit of space. And now what we want to do is, off this next part of the sequence, create widget. W countdown. Add it to the viewport. And we want to call this animation as well. So we need to create an event in the widget that we can call to trigger that animation. So go back to your widget countdown, go to a graph. You can get rid of all of the events that are there and create a new custom event. We'll call it countdown. And on the left here, you'll see you'll have your animations in the variables. Use Control, drag the animation in, drag off it, and say play animation. And make sure you connect that to the countdown event. So this will play this if this event's called, it'll play this animation. There are things you can do, like, do you want to play it forward? How many times you want it to play? All the default values are good for this. So we'll compile and save. And now if you go back to the player controller, we can, off this countdown widget, we can call the function countdown. So once it's added to the viewport, it will call that function and do the 3, 2, 1 go. So let's give that a quick go and see how that works. Let's go to play mode. Okay, let's go to the server. If I press the B key, 3, 2, 1, go. Now, probably didn't notice this. In fact, I wouldn't have done because the gate was separate, but the gate spawned straight away. The gate didn't. The gate started, or the gate was spawned when the animation started. So we want to delay the gate spawning by 3 seconds as well. Let me just show you that it's spawning straight away. If I can. I click on. Difficult to see the gate, but you'll just have to take my word for it that it is spawning straight away and we want to delay it. So go to the game mode, and the easiest way of doing this is just putting a 3-second delay in before we spawn the gate. So when we send the start game function or the event to the player controller, we'll then wait 3 seconds before we spawn the gate. So in this completed node, drag off and put a delay. 3 seconds, and then we'll spawn the gate. So that should do that. So let's do play again. Let me see if I can make the window a bit smaller for the server, so we can kind of see what's going on the client as well. So I'm on the server, press B to start. 3, 2, 1, go. And there's the gate. And I can go through 3 times in the game. Okay, and now if I press B again, yep, both the server and client, 3, 2, 1, go. And you saw that the gate appeared when the go appeared after the 3-second delay. So that's all good. Now, just from a clean code point of view, there's something I want to fix as well. We're actually spawning that 3, 2, 1 go widget, the countdown widget, every time. So we're creating a new version of that. And in reality, once we've spawned it the first time, we can reuse it. So let's come out of here, go to your player controller. And what we really should do is store a reference to this countdown widget. So let's drag this here, promote this to a variable, and connect it. So okay, so effectively let's give it a name. W countdown. And then the first time we come in here, the first time we start the game, it'll create it and set it. The second time, if it exists, all we want to do is call the countdown animation. So create a little bit of space here. And drag your countdown widget in with control. Convert it to a validated get. What we're doing here now is saying get the countdown widget. If it exists, all I need to do is call the countdown widget. If it's not valid, it doesn't exist, then I want to create it. So I only want to create it if it doesn't exist the first time and the second time. So it won't actually look any different on the screen. It just means that I'm reusing this widget every subsequent time. It's just a more memory efficient way of handling it. We can obviously stretch this out just to make it look cleaner. Okay, so that's almost everything, but there is one flaw in this, and I'll show you what it is if I press play. Okay, so let's go to the server and press B. Okay, so we're starting the game. And I start playing the game. And let's say, I'm playing as a server and winning now, but let's say I'm losing, I'm down 2-0, I'm the server, I'm thinking I'll just restart the game. So if I press B, can you see how it resets the score and starts again? So it's really allowing me as a server to start the game at any time, and it's now got 2 gates because it's got the game spawn from the original, gate spawn from the original game as well. So I can just keep restarting the game and spawning new gates. So what I want to do is make sure that I can only start the game once it's complete, or at the beginning of the opening the level, and that's pretty easy to do with a Boolean variable on the game mode. So let's go to the game mode and let's create a new variable. We'll call it is game running, and it'll default to, let's compile and save that, it'll default to false. So when you come into this for the first time, the game isn't running. And now all we need to do is we need to, when we start the game, first thing we want to do, let's create a little space here and just move everything along a bit. First thing I want to do is check if the game is already running. So drag this in, B, and for a branch. So drag in that is game running to test it. If the game is not running, then we want to go through and tell all the players to start their game and spawn the gate. But if the game is already running, then it won't do anything more here. Okay, so the only other thing we need to do now is we need to set the game running when it starts. So let's do that immediately. So as soon as we know that the game's not running and we're going to be going and starting the game, let's drag in with Alt, set game running to false. Let's see here, let's move it along. Okay, and now we want to set it to game is running, and then go through the loop. So now if I do this and I press B, and if I then press B again, it will fail the branch condition here and it won't allow me to start it again. So the only thing I need to do now is I need to set it, the is game running, to false as soon as we finish the game. So here is the winning determine winner section. So this is where we know we've got a winner, and we go through and we show all the game results. And so what we can do here is we can drag with Alt is game running and leave it as false. So we'll set the game running to false as soon as we've shown the game results, and that will prevent the server from being able to restart the game halfway through. let's do a quick check. Go into play, go to my server, press B. Okay, so it's giving me the countdown, spawn the gate, and let's go through the first gate. Okay, so we've got a score. I now want to restart the game. I press B, nothing happens because the game's running. So I can't restart the game halfway through. I have to continue playing until somebody wins or loses. Somebody wins and loses. And let's go through it for the last time. And now if I press B, it allows me to restart the game. So I hope you found today's tutorial useful, and stick with the channel because I'll be doing a few more videos on tweaks and improvements to this game along with other ones, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.